What they are suggesting is that this would lead to cuts to dental care and farmer care programs, as well as removing the Canada Child Benefit. So why are you sad that those programs and benefits wouldn't be removed? Can you explain to voters just where you would find those 140 billion in savings?
Well, sir, first of all, the number is wrong. That is liberal math. I think we all know that liberal math doesn't add up. We've had them in power for 10 years, and they've missed every single deficit target that they've promised. Now they're making, we have Mark Carney making exactly the same, the budget will balance itself kind of commitments. So whenever Liberals present you with numbers, you should be afraid and very afraid.
So when we talk about the cost of living, there's multiple things that usually come up. Groceries, home heating, vehicles, but also more importantly, homes. The prices of homes have skyrocketed, and a lot of that is due to supply and demand. We are not building, we're bringing in more people, so a house is now turning into a commodity, which is not how it's supposed to be. A house is not supposed to be, a primary residence should not be viewed as the same type of investment as a little coin or a bar of gold. It should be like a basic, necessity here in Canada. Like it's your right to be able to have access to shelter and to purchasing a house in Canada. And only one candidate is really going to be able to do that, and that is Pierre Poilievre with his common sense plan. Now, in his plan, which you're about to hear, which was just recently released, 2.3 million homes, phenomenal plan, but also acknowledging, and Pierre does a great job of this, acknowledges that we can build all the homes we want. Heck, we could build 10 million homes in 2 years. None of that really matters if we're bringing in more people and if our population growth from internally is rising faster than houses that we're building. So talk about a two-step plan. Yes, boots not suits, shovels in the ground, breaking down permits, all of that stuff is great. However, that doesn't really matter if you're not addressing how many people are coming in. And Pierre, well, spoiler, addresses that phenomenally. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do really want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does tremendously help grow the channel. And if there's a little bell icon, if you can just do me a favor and click and tap that so you can actually be notified of upcoming videos, that would be incredibly amazing. And if you want a matching sticker like the one here on my microphone or any of the other stickers that I sell, you can find a link for that down below in the description or the pinned comment below. And if you use code SAVECANADA, you get yourself 20% off for the remainder of the election period. Now, Pierre's big thing about housing is boots not suits, cutting red tape, build, but also capping immigration and uncapping housing. That is phenomenal. And the two are extremely complementary. Look, the average conservative person, right? Likely you, myself, Pierre, the Conservative Party of Canada, nobody's against immigration. Immigration is very good. It does bring in diverse cultures into our country, and that's kind of neat because then we get to see what other cultures can bring here. But also it fills jobs, job vacancies. And that's the whole purpose of immigration when it's used properly. Historically, Canada's done a okay job at that. But over the past several years under Trudeau or Carney, since they're so identical, I don't even know who exactly was prime minister since he was the economic advisor. Maybe it was Carney's idea. Who knows? But immigration has been so uncapped that it's just kind of ruined our country. Too many people came in at once, and we don't have the infrastructure to support it. So building all the houses are great, but also addressing the flood of people coming in is what Pierre does, and he does a phenomenal job. So without further ado, let's get right into this video.
Before I get underway this morning, let me first offer my condolences to Catholics all around the world on the loss of Pope Francis. His role is, of course, at the center of the Catholic Church, and there have been countless millions of Catholics and non-Catholics that have been inspired by his leadership in faith and other domains, and our prayers are with all Catholics as they lay to rest the head of the Catholic Church, and we are in solidarity in remembering him and honoring his contributions. Je présente mes plus sincères condoléances aux catholiques à travers le monde face au décès du pape François. Son travail avait un impact important à travers le monde, y compris pour les non-catholiques, et tout le monde est solidaire en offrant nos condoléances et nos prières pour ceux qui ont été touchés par le pape François. It is an honor to be here in Scarborough today, one of our great communities, hardworking people who get out of bed every morning and literally build this country. Here we are with these incredible builders behind us today. Our purpose, of course, is to bring change. Here we are a week before the change election, and we need change so that these hardworking people can afford food and homes and live once again on safe streets. Change to put Canada first. But after the lost Liberal decade, everything costs more. Work doesn't pay. Housing costs have literally doubled, rising faster in Canada than in any other G7 country. The worst of that housing inflation happened after Mark Carney became economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. Now, many had been concerned that Mr. Carney would be just as bad as Trudeau. On Saturday, we learned he will cost even more. Mark Carney launched a platform that will add $130 billion more spending than Trudeau had already projected. In other words, as crazy and costly as Trudeau's budget plan already was, Mark Carney's is even worse. Adding Trudeau's planned deficits with Carney's promised spending, a fourth Liberal government would bring in $250 billion of new inflationary debt. That will drive up the cost of food and housing, require Liberals to raise taxes on housing and work, and risk the very stability of our economy. We've also learned from journalist Catherine Levesque in a comment she made that, in fact, Mark Carney's platform was written for Justin Trudeau. They simply went into the document, they did a search and replace, they highlighted the name Trudeau, they replaced it with Carney, and what do you know? You have a platform for a fourth Liberal term. How could you ever expect a different result when you have the same Liberal ministers, same Liberal advisors, same Liberal platform under Mark Carney that you had under Justin Trudeau? You will have the same costly, reckless results if you give Justin Trudeau and the Liberals a fourth term in the face of Mark Carney. That's why we have a team who's here today to deliver change. Change so you can afford food. Change so you can be safe on your street. Change so you can have a roof over your head. That team includes Gurmeet Sandhu, Sachita Jalan, Jocelyn Poirier, Reddy Mutukuru, Eris Mavesian, Belen Matthews, and of course Greg Brady, who introduced me and is a legend in these parts. We know that this team is needed now more than ever, because after the lost Liberal decade, many Canadians have given up on owning a home at all. 88% of renters today say the goal of owning a home is out of reach after 10 years of Liberals. Half of millennials and two-thirds of Gen Zs have delayed starting families because they can't afford a place to live. The Liberals have made life unaffordable. They've made it impossible for our youth to house themselves. They've rewarded big city politicians who've hiked taxes and blocked home building. Out of control Liberal money printing and immigration have inflated demand, while Liberal funded local bureaucracies have blocked construction and restricted supply. What do you know? When you drive up demand and you block supply, you see the price double. That's Liberal economics, and we can't afford it anymore. Construction is actually getting worse. After the last 3 or 4 years, when the Liberals finally realized they were in political trouble because of their housing inflation, they sent out Sean Fraser to make literally dozens of announcements of how they were going to accelerate construction. And so what happened after they made all those announcements and those promises? And all the media covered it breathlessly as though it was some new and dynamic change in the system. Well, this year in Toronto, housing and construction is down 58%. It's down 37% in Vancouver, down 21% in Halifax, and down in big cities all across the country. Mark Carney has announced that he's bringing back Sean Fraser, the same Liberal housing minister who caused this disaster. You know, Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You won't get a different result unless you do something different. We need to elect a new Conservative government that will unlock building and put affordable homes over the heads of hardworking Canadians. Canada has the most land to build on, yet we have the fewest homes per capita in the G7. And Mark Carney will only make it worse. As head of the Bank of England, his reckless money printing priced an entire generation of British youth out of housing. As Trudeau's economic advisor, he advised openly on the record and in the public realm for massive money printing in 2020, 2021, and thereafter, money printing that later would drive up interest rates and housing costs. And now his plan is to replicate all of the same policies, building up bureaucracies in Ottawa with tens of billions of dollars of new spending on regurgitated and rebranded Liberal programs that will ensure that you will never own a home. He is the same as Justin Trudeau, and the last thing we can afford in this Liberal housing crisis is more of the same. This plan involves building more bureaucracy rather than building more homes. But the good news is we don't have to choose a costly fourth Liberal term of failure. We have a chance for change and hope that home ownership will be restored. And that is why I'm announcing today a plan to build 2.3 million new homes over the next 5 years for a change. Now, and we've got the numbers to back it up. While the Liberals make generalized promises that they've been breaking for the last 10 years, we actually have a breakdown on how we're going to get to these 2.5 million homes. Let's start with the baseline. Canada's building about 245,000 homes a year right now. Our Conservative plan to axe the federal sales tax will increase that by 30,000 homes per year. Second, we are going to incentivize municipalities to cut their development taxes by 50,000 homes. It's $50,000. When you cut the sales tax and the municipal taxes on home building by a total of $100,000 a home, you stimulate well over 50,000 additional home builds to bring it up to about 300,000 homes per year. Next, we will build on this increased construction by requiring municipalities permit 15% more homes per year as a condition of getting federal funding. When you compound that 15% on the 300,000 homes, then by the year, this will get Canada to over 535,000 new homes being built in year 5, at a total of 2 million homes by 2030. But we'll go further. Within 100 days, we'll identify 15% of federal land that is optimal for home building, and we will pre-zone it and sell it off for home building, requiring that builders use the land to build affordable, privately owned homes. Yes, I know Liberals will gasp. They don't want anybody to own a home. They think everybody should live in a government dwelling. We will be selling the land so that Canadians can buy homes that belong to them and that give them the pride of home ownership and the home equity. The Globe and Mail has already identified hundreds of thousands of unused and unidentified thousands of unused and underutilized sites that will unlock at least 288,000 homes for Canadians. When you add it all up, it gets you 2.3 million homes for Canadians in 5 years. For the young Canadian trapped in your parents' basement, for the renter unable to save up for a down payment, for the senior worried about eviction after rents have skyrocketed, like the retired truck driver in his 70s who drove a truck for 50 years and then told me that he was being rent-evicted and he was going to have to call his daughter, his little girl, and ask if he could move into her basement. For all of these people who work so hard and done everything right, my message to you is one of hope. You will have a home that you can afford, a place to live, a place to be safe. That's the Canadian promise. I should add that on top of building 2.3 million new homes, we also need to outpace population growth. Conservatives will cap immigration to ensure that we always add homes faster than we add people. That is the only way to do it. The ratio of new homes to new people will be its highest in history under a new Conservative government. That means that the market will get looser and Canadian renters and buyers will be shopping around and they're going to see more houses for sale rather than competing with an excess number of people, an excess amount of debt being flooded into the economy. What we'll have is options so that our young people can actually afford to buy. This is all part of our plan to restore Canada's promise and to bring real change to Canadians. We're going to cut bureaucracy, waste, consultants, foreign aid, and cap government spending to bring down deficits, inflation, and taxes. We'll cut income tax by 15%, so hard work once again pays off. We'll get rid of the capital gains tax on anything you reinvest here in Canada, so that if you ever want to sell a tired old asset and invest it in building some homes, you can do that without paying capital gains tax. This will be economic rocket fuel for our economy. We have to decide if we want 4 more years of out-of-control housing and food prices, rising crime and danger in our streets, or whether it's time for a change with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, unleash home building and resource development, and bring home our jobs so that we can once again stand up with strength as a country. Change will bring hope, and we need all of you to bring that change. So get out and vote. Vote for change. Vote for hope. Let's bring it home. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now go to questions from the floor. Please say your name and outlet.
Morning, Mr. Poilievre. JP Tasker from CBC News. How are you?
Very well. How are you? You look a little cold.
A little cold.
Can we get him?
You're axing the walls. Is that your other campaign?
Right. We figure if you guys are shivering, then you'll keep your questions short and friendly. Get this guy some hand warmers or something, though. Really.
Seriously, help me out. You've been calling for an election for the last 2 years, and yet you're now the last major party leader to release a costed platform. We haven't seen one yet. More than 2 million people have already cast a ballot in the advance polls, and there's only a week left in this election. What's the holdup with the platform? Are you having trouble making the math work for this one?
No, tomorrow we'll have a platform for all eyes to see, which will bring change to Canada. It will axe taxes, unleash home building, resource development, lock up criminals, secure our borders, and bring home the country that we knew and love. That country has a big choice to make. Yes, on Saturday, just hours before Easter, when Mark Carney thought no one was listening, he came forward with a platform that has $130 billion more spending than Justin Trudeau had already promised. So he's now $130 billion more expensive than Trudeau. And that will mean higher taxes and inflation. It will mean a serious risk to the future of our already weak economy. We cannot afford a fourth Liberal term of rising taxes and inflation and crime. We need a change with a new Conservative government that has a truly costed platform that will cut waste, axe taxes, unleash home building, lock up criminals, and bring home the country that we love. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre.
Good day.
Jen Hodson from the Western Standard.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you. Last year, Quebec received $14 billion in equalization payments, paid for primarily by taxpayers in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and BC. And last month, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith said that Alberta was no longer agreeable to fund large provinces that can essentially fend for themselves. So what do you say about making equalization payments? You've recently said that you will make no significant changes. And so beyond the ability of building pipelines in the West, why should people in the West vote for you?
Well, that's a long list. First of all, we need to enrich all the provinces, and I'm the only one with a plan to do that. Yesterday, I rolled out a plan to unleash $500 billion of extra economic growth over the next 5 years by repealing the anti-energy law, the Liberal anti-energy law C-69, scrapping the energy cap, getting rid of the tanker ban, rapidly approving resource projects within 6 months, setting up shovel-ready zones that have pre-permitting on mines, pipelines, data centers, power stations, and more. I will rapidly approve LNG Quebec in Saguenay, which will mean that Quebecers will become richer and more prosperous, and that in itself will reduce the burden on taxpayers. So we need to unleash massive economic growth in this country for every single province. Look, after the lost Liberal decade of a declining economy with a smaller GDP than any other, with a smaller GDP growth than any other country in the G7, the Liberals have done nothing but divide provinces against each other. I want to unite this country. I want to unlock a massive boom nationwide of any energy production, home building, and opportunity for Canadians, and that is what's going to bring our people together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, Barbara with iPolitics.
Sorry,
Barbara
with
iPolitics.
iPolitics, thank you.
So over the weekend, the Liberals estimated that your party had rolled out $140 billion in new spending commitments over the next 4 years.
No.
So considering your pledge to find dollar-for-dollar savings, what they are suggesting is that this would lead to cuts to dental care and farmer care programs, as well as removing the Canada Child benefit. So why are you sad that those programs and benefits wouldn't be removed? Can you explain to voters just where you would find those $140 billion in savings?
Well, sir, first of all, the number is wrong. That is Liberal math. I think we all know that Liberal math doesn't add up. We've had them in power for 10 years, and they've missed every single deficit target that they've promised. Now we have Mark Carney making exactly the same, the budget will balance itself kind of commitments. So whenever Liberals present you with numbers, you should be afraid, and very afraid, because their numbers are always wrong. Our approach is that every new dollar of spending should be met with savings, and I've already laid out a lot of those savings. We will be cutting consultants by $10 billion. We will be getting rid of the Liberal programs that give out free drugs. We will get rid of wasteful gun buyback that goes after licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested owners. And we will be cutting bureaucracy, foreign aid, handouts to corporate insiders, and other waste. On top of that, we will generate $70 billion in additional revenue by unlocking the power of our resource sector and stimulating economic growth. That number is calculated by independent economists and validated by the former chief economic analyst of Statistics Canada. So by generating more economic growth, cutting back on Liberal waste and mismanagement, then we will deliver real change so Canadians can afford food and homes and live on safe streets. The choice in this election is that after a lost Liberal decade of rising cost and crime, can you afford a fourth Liberal term, or is it time for a change with a new Conservative government that will cut waste, cap spending, axe taxes, unleash growth, so that Canadians can afford food and homes in safe neighborhoods.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed that speech as much as I did. And if you did, it would be super awesome for you guys to show your appreciation by hitting the like button on this video, subscribing to the channel. It does really go a long way. We're on route to 500,000 subs, and be super awesome if we got there sooner than later. And I look forward to seeing you guys in another video. Bye for now.